There was something that just moved in one of these two rooms.
We're documenting a structure that we found last night.
I'll go up to the house, bang on it, and say, "I don't believe."
Yeah.
Now,
What the fuck was that?
Did you hear that?
Episode number 29. It is December 3rd, 2017. This is going to be a different type of episode. We haven't done one of these to date anyways. We're going to talk about Civil War ghosts this week. See what we can bring to the table and have some fun with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Remind everybody, this is the podcast talks about everything from paranormal to Bigfooting to UFOs, pretty much everything under the sun and then some. I am one of the hosts. I am Leo Fernandez. To my left,
Michelle?
Roth.
and the man behind
The
the boards. You hear the voice in your head every now and then. You would be.
I'm not Jeremiah. I'm Max.
And you can see the cat is missing this week.
He's outside.
No, he's not here. Jason.
Oh, the Jason, yeah. Okay.
The shapeshifter.
He's still outside.
He is tending to some personal issues, family business, so we'll miss him this week, but we should be back next week, to my knowledge. So what's going on this week, guys? Anything fun?
Man, I tell you what, I think about 2 hours ago, I finally was able to just relax for a minute. It's been a hectic week.
Relax.
A lot of stuff going, right?
Yeah,
right? Usually I relax during the show, but no, it's been a long week. It really has.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's the holidays.
It-
I'm
yeah.
a firm believer it's the holidays.
Yeah.
It makes everything crazy.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Can be busy times, that's for sure, upcoming. So, just want to throw this out there. Tonight we're going to be running on YouTube again. We're having trouble with the Facebook feed. Apologize. We'll get that corrected in the next coming weeks. But for now, we're going to go like we used to do it, go old school, and we'll do the YouTube only. And but we're still having a show going, so it's better than not having a show, I guess.
Huh?
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 What?
What? What happened? What?
Are we
What?
getting benched like Eli Manning?
Yes.
Same results. 2-lose.
I enjoy the weeks where the Chiefs don't win because usually
You've
Roth
had,
is
what,
pretty-
6 straight weeks of that? Pretty
'cause
much.
Usually Roth doesn't say anything to anyone about football. You can tell when the Chiefs win though, because he's all like, "Your player sucks. Your team sucks."
Yeah, I haven't really brought football up a lot, have I?
No.
Man. Let me guess.
Case in point.
Chiefs lost?
Well, you know.
God.
Like, it sucks that our teams are tied for first place, and we're both 6-6. So
That's
Chiefs
pathetic.
and Raiders.
Isn't
I
it?
mean, and we're tied with San Diego.
Who would have ever thought
Los Angeles.
you're tied to win your division at 6-6?
That's
That's
500.
pathetic.
It's been a terrible football year. Anywho's. Oh, Michelle's a Chiefs fan. Oops, hang on. I got some sound all of a sudden. Wasn't supposed
Let there be
to.
sound.
But anyways, yep. So this week we're talking about, like I said, some Civil War ghosts. So start us off with, we're gonna have Michelle jump on in. She's ready. Kind of give us a history of where we're gonna go, how we got there.
Yeah.
Have at it.
Okay. It started April 12th, 1861, ended May 9th, 1865. Kind of what started it in 1860. President Abraham Lincoln was elected, and first off, the southern states succeeded, and then 4 more joined after the first shots were fired.
Shots fired.
Yeah, did I say shots fired?
No, I'm just saying it. You're fine.
Okay. The Confederates started it by.
He started it.
He
Sorry,
did. He
so
did.
sounds like-
It's all their fault. I don't want any Southerns calling me. It was
What
Kidding.
year was it?
1861 is when it started.
Okay.
In 1865.
65 is when it stopped. And the Confederates bombarded the Union-controlled Fort Sumner in Charleston Bay. That was the first battle. Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant in April 9th, 1865. I'm breaking down
You're
the
fine.
amount of battles in it. There were 10,000 hostile actions, and those were meaning that there were at least 200 soldiers fighting. There were 361 battles, and where there was from maybe 10 to 199, whatever, there were probably close to 250,000 of those skirmishes in the battle. The 620,000 died in the Civil War.
Wow.
110 Union soldiers were killed in combat, and the Confederates, there was 260,000 that died in combat. The rest of them died from their wounds later on, poor living conditions, and they didn't know how to live off the land. But basically, I think they got cold, starved. There's a lot of disease and stuff going on. And one little interesting thing I found, General Stoneman decided to draft some people from North Carolina. And in this draft, one of the people that was drawn was Ing Bunker. He was part of the Chang and Ing Siamese twins. And so the general didn't know quite what to do because Chang did not get drafted. So he decided he couldn't take Ing if Chang wasn't drafted also. So Ing got to stay home. But two of their older sons did go fight in the war. But I thought that was
So back that far, could they usually, if you had the brothers, the oldest went and one stayed?
This was a drawing. They drew names.
They just drew names. Wow.
And
But you are correct. Like previous to that, that's exactly what we did. The oldest male.
And then if you didn't have a brother, you didn't go because you had to carry the house.
Yeah, you were the only son.
Okay.
Yeah. But he decided he needed more men, and so he was. It just seems funny that you think about. Here you got Siamese twins.
Which one are you? The one that's not going?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, so you're both drafted. Now one carried this, but
That would have been horrible. I was born 3 minutes after him, so I'm the little brother.
but you're coming along anyway. But basically, that's just the high points of. It just shows that how many people died, and some of them in combat, most of them not in combat.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of really sad. But
Yeah.
It's one of the most bloodiest wars that America's been in. I mean, even
Well, and
more than
actually,
World War I,
I think
Vietnam.
Jason's not here with us that I can see, but he actually mentioned he wanted us to let everybody know too that there were more people that died in the Civil War than World War I and World War II put together. So Jason?
I did not. I literally just said that before.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear you say that. I was probably thinking
Welcome back.
Anyways,
wow. Did you
Yeah.
really?
yeah.
He was literally in the middle of saying it, and we were like, Jason.
I didn't catch that. But
It's all good.
That's crazy.
I need
Yeah.
to put an
Well,
Instagram
in 4
website
short
on
years.
it.
Where's that picture at? Right.
to kill that many people.
It's almost a million people had died, like Michelle said, whether it be fighting or in prisons or whatever. It just wounded, captured.
No, and they're wounded. All they could do is
Yeah.
cut. If you were shot in the arm, you cut off the arm.
That's the bad thing about it. Yeah, they said bite on this leather strap or whatever.
Yeah.
Piece of block
You were
wood,
done.
and then they saw away. It was
Well, I
like
mean, and their hospital on the field wasn't a hospital; it was
Yeah.
a tent. And if you happen to be in a colder state,
yeah.
and it's getting to be winter, you didn't have any warmth or anything besides fire. But you just chop your leg off. You're not
Yeah.
really gonna hop to the fire. You lay there and die for a little bit.
Or
forever.
More quickly.
all the diseases running through there. Because it wasn't the most sterile place either.
Trying to find
Yeah.
fresh water.
Yeah. pretty gnarly stuff. I mean, I just
Yeah, a lot of them died from hypothermia because they didn't have the clothing and
Right.
everything.
Growing up in Georgia, I don't think we really could go to a town anywhere around that
Right.
didn't have some sort of history,
right.
to do with the war. I mean, that's what Georgia is. It is one of the biggest battlegrounds for the Civil War. So
I mean, it made it its way up to Kansas also too. I mean, about as far as almost to Manhattan, where, with Fort Riley and stuff like that, And it's the fact that when you think Civil War, you think it's always the South. And so they always talk about the battles all along the East Coast, South, but in Kansas, it happened here too. So it's just crazy stuff. I mean, we're fighting over slavery and
Tariffs
states' rights, and just insane. Yep. Makes you wonder what type of country we'd be in if it was the other way around. If Union
Right.
lost, but whatever,
Yeah.
Regardless, it was like you said, it's a crazy war. That to this day, you still, like you said, you see all the remnants of it. Not just from the to the state flags to
I don't know how many times I've been called out for Georgia state flag that I have up in my room. They're
Right.
like, "You're a racist," and I'm like, "What? That's my state flag. It has nothing to do." You know what? Sit down. I'm not going to teach you right now.
You always hear about how the South is going to rise again all these years later. It's just like it's a lot of
Still
bitter.
sitting on the same couch.
I was going to say they said it between their 3 teeth, but
A lot of bitterness still about this. It's crazy. That was 1800. Well over 100 years ago.
oh yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, but due to this, bloody battle, now you see all kinds of things across everywhere with, ghosts. I mean, as far as reports of things happening, and I mean, there's all kinds of them. I mean, some of the famous ones. I mean, like, think about the one when we had Darren Dito in here a couple weeks ago. We talked about Myrtle's Plantation. That's another one down there that they see the apparition of Chloe, who's a slave, down there on the plantation still, and I mean, you see kids running there and just all kinds of things. I mean, you can hear a lot of those places like Vicksburg. You hear, the battle's still going on. I mean, out in the forest and stuff. You hear gunshots fired. You all right?
Yeah.
Voice is back in your head.
You're hearing little Leo.
Oh, okay. I thought he was over there.
Nope, he's right there.
Okay. All right.
Roth is, with old age, is slowly losing his
Man.
mind. So
He's good. I didn't see him move.
He's just too funny. He's just staring off like,
Like
what?
hearing stuff.
oh my God. Okay, all right. So where do we want to start with tonight? Which topic? Which ghost? We can go many directions.
Well, I'll start out with a little bit of mine, and we're going to take it back to Tennessee a little bit,
Is that your southern accent?
and
It's horrible. It's horrible.
I mean, Max is from there. He doesn't
Yeah.
have that accent. Come on. Come on,
they,
y'all.
Come on, y'all.
one of the
She.
I ended up, I was kind of like yourself. I was trying to look up and do some research on the paranormal and of the Civil War. And what I ran across was two different things, and they kind of work with each other, which I thought was really interesting. One is, I'm sure you guys have heard about it, the Shiloh in Pittsburgh, the Old South. It's the Shiloh National Military Park. Has anybody here heard of that?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm surprised I finally found something that Leo has not heard about.
Keep talking.
This is
We'll see
amazing.
we'll see if I remember. Oh, you mean? I'll say it.
Probably.
What do you
You'll
mean
be
that
like,
one
yeah,
thing?
we'll talk about that later.
Go
No. Okay. So this one here, they say up to date in 1862. I think it started April 6th, 1862. It was a 2-day battle, and over 20,000 people died.
Whoa.
Okay, that's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. And doing the research and so forth, they called it the hornet's nest. I mean, if you could imagine in 2 days, over 20,000 people lost their lives. This here is called the South Pittsburgh Hospital. And that's one thing that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. One of the things, I'm gonna, I think, go up with first, Max, if you can find it, is the blood pond. Do you happen to see that?
The blood pond?
Yeah, it's called. There's one in there, a picture called the pond. It's probably about 6 or 7 away. I sent all of them to him. Anyways, not too far from the orchard, there was a peach orchard there, where the battle had happened. There's a pond there, and in that pond is where a lot of the soldiers would crawl to. They'd try to get water there. A lot of them were crawling over because they were hurt. And in July, if he can find some of these pictures, did he not send them?
This is what he sent to me, and not any of them are labeled the pond. This
Okay.
is all.
Oh, there
Oh.
it is.
I downloaded that one, and that's a YouTube.
Okay.
video.
Well, actually, if you guys, we've got plenty of time tonight. If you want to play that, can you play that for him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we hear it?
You'll have to kill mics, and I'll just put it.
This
put
is
it on.
really
So whenever you're
interesting.
ready, Max.
I think it's about 2 minutes. Well, it's a minute and a half. So
Minute 12 seconds.
definitely worth watching here.
And this is in Pittsburgh,
Uh-huh.
Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Tennessee.
Oh, you said Tennessee, right?
Yeah, we're
right.
back in
I forgot
Tennessee.
about your fake
We're in
accent.
Tennessee.
My bad.
All right, kill him, Lex.
Okay.
Okay, so for those of you that
Hold on, the mics.
They're on.
Oh,
So for those of
okay,
you that got to see a little bit of part of that pond to this day, they said sometime around late June or mid-July, it turns red. I did some more investigation on it, and what's happening is the blood. There was so much blood from that war that it's in the moss, it's in the bottom of the pond. When it hits those days of 100 degrees plus, it rises. And that pond, there's some more pictures, Max, if you want to look in there, that I sent. I don't know if he has them up or not, but it actually turns red until it starts to cool down, and then it dissipates. And it's pretty amazing to actually, go there and watch that pond turn completely red. You know,
Yeah, oh,
I
that-
mean, just from
that
all the
would be.
death. And you know, when I found that, you know, that's to think of all the death that they had to make a pond just completely turn red. It's a lot, you know. And so, anyways, nowadays what they've done is they call it the Shiloh National Military Hauntings, and I don't know if you have pictures of the military park.
The only thing that I have from that was the
These
YouTube
here.
video. No,
You
the
don't
only
have
other
any of
ones I have
these?
are the hospital.
Okay. So there are several places there at the military park that you can go to, and this is coming from people that visit there. They hear drums, beating of the drums, and from what you know, the investigating that I could come up with, it's a lot when you're out there, and those were from little kids that were drummer boys, which you've heard and probably seen in some of the pictures where, you know, they would line the kids up and do the drums, and they were dying there. And so they said a lot of times you can hear the drums. Sometimes on the battlefields, you hear the guns go off. You can hear the loud screams. It's really, I think it'd be a really great place to visit, actually. And so as far as the hauntings go, I didn't come up with anything where they've actually seen people. There's a few pictures that I saw online, but you know, you can't tell if they, you know, are real or fake. But a lot of screams, a lot of the battles, a lot of the drums that you'll hear. So with that being said, there was Max is gonna, if you want to pull that back up. I started doing some more research because I found that where that battle was at was done under limestone. Okay, from limestone to a let's see here, where can I find that? It's the spring water. It's spring fed through there. It's about a mile away, and there is a hospital that you will see that's going to come up. It's called the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Sorry.
The Old South Pittsburgh Hospital was finally shut down in the late 50s, you know, like the 1950s. A lot of death there. A lot of doctors passed away there, nurses, kids, a lot of kids passed away there. In 1959, they had so much death there, and nobody could understand why. People were just dying. If you went to that hospital, you died. And so they shut it down. And as you can see in some of the pictures, everything's still there. They didn't, I mean, it's like they just completely walked away from it. Well, what runs through the center of this hospital is that natural spring. And which, Leo, I know you know, they say that reacts as like a battery.
Yeah, all that water.
Yeah,
I mean,
all the water.
It just sends a current, whatever, you know.
And so inside this hospital, there supposedly is 2 doctors, 2 nurses, between 6 and 8 kids that are in there. And they say from all the death, after I started reading and going from page to page to page, they say all the death from the Shiloh War, being in the natural spring water, everything traveling, could have possibly what had caused and made this hospital so negative and have so much negative activity in it. And so to this day, you can actually go in and rent this place out. For those who would be interested, it is $350 Monday through Thursday. And you can have as many people as you want. There's just a minimum fee. And then if you go and you see some of the pictures, do you see those, Leo?
Mm-hmm.
And there's some shadows in the back. They get a lot of screams. There's a lot of kids. Some of the pictures, you'll see all the toys, and they leave those there. And the kids just play with the toys. And so if you do some research on this place, there's a lot of activity that they've gotten as far as like EVPs. There's over 100 of them that you can look at that people have put up online that have been investigated here.
What caused the death? Was it the negative
They
energy?
think it's the negative energy, and they didn't understand it because it says here like in the 1920s is when that was built, and from there on, and I can't find the page of how many deaths that occurred at that hospital. Kids, even doctors, nurses were passing away, and so they finally shut it down in 1959.
Did they say what they were passing away from?
No, it's just they're just dying. And so that brought, you know, a lot of attention to me is why are people dying? You know, they're just because. And then if you do some more reading, they think a lot of it had to do with the Civil War and stuff that went on. And there was some plantations there that were built in 1920, large plantation that existed on the property. And so they even had a battle there on the property. They said it was one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War, which goes back to the Shiloh War. And so they think all the negativity and everything somehow has something to do with that natural spring that's in there. And Max, that kind of brought my attention when we watched that one show. Do you remember that had the town that was having all that negative activity, and it ended up being because of the spring, wasn't it?
Yep. What they say it was.
Uh-huh.
Talking about Ghost of Shepherdstown.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, that's kind of that's been a real big component of what some of our beliefs are. We think like water is a current, like we talked about, and definitely has the capability to hold, conduct electricity or carry energy basically. So that's what we think. If we go to a location and the house is haunted or the building is haunted, we think because of the water sometimes behind it is bringing all that, keeping it going basically, which makes sense as far as that goes.
And they also said too that there was a fire upstairs. If you do some research on that hospital, and there was like 8 kids that died from that fire as well. So they say that they're still running around, but 2 doctors, 2 nurses, and 6 to 8 kids that are there. Lots of screams. They said there's a black figure that you see, and they say that so I need to do some more research on it, but they said that doesn't welcome a lot of people, doesn't like you there. They said if you read some of the blogs, they'll tell you to get out. Loves to slam doors. A lot of the blogs from people that have gone on the tour there said it just scare you to death because he'll just start slamming doors, just violently slamming doors. There's a nurse that's upstairs that does not like women. She has a few words to say when you arrive up there. Also, the kids love to play. So they said don't be scared if you walk around the corner and the tricycle's going down the hallway. Very interesting. I would love to go check that place out sometime.
Well, I am going to Tennessee in about 5 weeks.
There you go. Go to Pittsburgh.
So I think I'm gonna do. I do have that video up about the water again, the silo. Because for whatever reason it didn't play.
Okay.
So just black screen.
Yeah. So I will go ahead and mute the mics and we're gonna play it again. All right.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, to think that whole pond turned blood red just because of the fact that what they're saying is, the bloodshed of the Civil War soldiers, possibly, and all the death around that area. It's just
Yeah, and they said it only
nuts.
usually happens when it's hot, when it gets really hot.
Interesting. I mean, anxious to see if that has anything to do with it, maybe.
Well, the algae starts to grow. The algae comes
Yeah.
up off the bottom
That
and
makes sense.
floats up to the top. And I wished I had those pictures. You could see them.
Yeah. What else, Darren?
I was waiting to see if he
I know.
pulled any up, but
I know you said they hear like some of the war going on, the battle. Did they hear any audible like voices or that you know of, or any kind of screams?
they heard you hear a few screams, but it's mainly the drums.
Oh yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's around the world.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's usually the
battle drums that they played.
Yeah. You have to put Shiloh Pond.
I mean, how would you like to be
Shiloh?
that guy? What's your job in the military? I'm the drummer. I go in front of everybody, get everybody motivated to go to war, fight. Nothing. So I'll be the guy in the back. Or I'll be the guy at home. Send my twin Siamese brother up there.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that ain't for me, man. Yeah, those
You got to
guys.
type in bloody
Those are
pond.
brave. Yeah.
Well, I wonder. Now I read where a lot of the soldiers that were laying out in the rain and in the mud,
Mhm.
the wounded ones, they glowed, and that was a bacteria.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We have the red tide in Florida.
No, it's Roll Tide in Alabama.
No, it's not.
Max, if you go to the internet and don't do YouTube and type in blood pond Shiloh, you'll see pictures of the red.
So I wonder if maybe that did, because they said a lot of the soldiers that had the bacteria, the glowing bacteria, they survived, where the ones that didn't,
What,
they had better
the
chances.
glowing bacteria survived?
Well, the men survived.
Right, I'm
had
saying.
yeah,
Had that? Really?
yeah,
That's it. You think it'd be the other way around? Hey, that guy's glowing.
yeah.
You're gonna die, and then you're dead before him.
The glowing.
That's interesting.
There's one.
I never heard of that before. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Let's look at that. See what's going on with that. Because
yeah.
so what was it? Is this bacteria from the area or what? I'm just curious because of the fact
Bioluminescent bacteria.
which makes sense. I mean, that's what it blows. But I wonder if it's indigenous to the south or something, to where it's. I mean, because you don't hear about that in any other location.
Right,
or
right.
anything.
I guess 2 teenagers came up with it.
Huh.
They won many awards for it. But,
That's crazy.
so I wonder, maybe, does it have something to do with that?
It's not
Is
a
that-
very big pond either.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Is that it?
That's
Yeah.
it right
it's
there.
impressive. Yeah.
It's right off of the
Oh, wow.
orchard.
That's the
It's-
whole thing.
See, that doesn't look like clay.
No.
It's right off
Are you gonna
the
put it up
peach
for-
orchard.
Yeah.
The
Where
peeps
the
at home.
peach trees are.
I mean, that's pretty red. I mean, can you imagine all the blood that would have to be settled?
I just.
Yeah.
I,
And the guy that taught, there's a couple different videos, and the guy that talks about it said they've had scientists come out, and it's just because of it rises, and everything, the algae starts to grow, so everything. I don't know. I couldn't explain it to you 100%.
and this happens every year.
Every year.
I was just curious because I mean it'd be easy to fake that with some
No, it
Dye,
happens.
whatever.
Yeah, it
Like
happens
they do
every year.
the river
Yeah,
in
in-
Boston.
in
has
Chicago,
river
yeah.
and-
yeah.
Yeah, and they say
Yeah.
depending on when you go to the tour, you'll actually get to see it.
Like when days are coming, tourists coming. Okay, let's go diet. No pun intended. Diet. Get it? Anyone?
Yep.
Is this thing on? Yep.
Look at that.
Yep. We have it coming up here in just a second. People at home. There it is.
There it is.
It's pretty wild, yeah. That's really to think of what that could be. Like we talked about. I mean, is it blood? Is it because of the sediment? What is it? I mean,
Because it looks like it would dilute after a while
Yeah.
and not be that, because that looks like pretty much straight blood.
yeah,
I mean, when you think about the actual like chemistry behind what all is in blood, it's iron.
yeah.
And if iron deposits develop over time,
True.
especially with a smaller body of water,
Right.
it very well could turn the water red and
Yeah.
make it rise because of the climate change or whatever. But to be going on for so long and it not dilute like you were saying, like that's, I mean, it's weird. It definitely is weird. I really want to know
Yeah,
what the
because
scientists say.
Yeah, because blood, changes color after a while. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It coagulates. And
Yeah.
yeah. So I
now, if you show me a Jello pond, I'll
Gross.
believe it.
Not cool. That's gross.
Yeah, so if anybody
Well,
wants to go
regulates.
online and do some more research, there's other videos of scientists that are actually talking
Yeah.
about it more in depth. So
I mean, is this pond fed by anything, or is it just like
Like its own like any tributaries, you mean? Like running
Yeah.
into it?
is,
no.
is it a running water?
What's it called, Shiloh?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
yeah,
my
it's called
question-
the Bloody Pond, Shiloh's Bloody Pond.
Also, the hornet's nest.
Yeah.
That's right.
My question is too, I mean, the hospital is there, the water ran underneath. Where did that hospital get their water from?
I was thinking the same thing, but that I want to know what is feeding that pond because
Any
it
kind of
doesn't look
runoff
very
or something.
deep.
Yeah.
So it would have to, evaporation and everything else. Like, where's it getting its source from? Is that other part turning red too? Is the hospital actually getting their water, from there? Because then they're poisoned. You're
Yeah.
poisoning everyone. It's Flint all over again. Too soon? Okay.
There's brown though. Not pretty bloody.
Boy, I had to travel a long way.
But but that's my question. Maybe is there a connection there?
Oh god, my internet's being screwy. I can't even get to pull up. I was just gonna see if there's anything that spills off into it, any kind of tributaries or any kind of runoff that would possibly contribute to this year in and year out, but I can't get to work for some reason. I'm looking diligently.
Yeah, because you wonder if it was coming up somewhere else.
Yeah.
It was just that one.
But if it's its own pond though, that doesn't make sense. It'd have to be from the ground up.
Yeah.
But never know. Maybe the legend is true.
Maybe.
Yeah, and see, the hospital was actually built on a solid limestone rock as its foundation,
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
and a natural
I saw it.
spring
It's
running
something.
directly under the
Is that-
hospital and into the most northwest part of the Tennessee
It's
River.
just a small little blip on the map I saw.
Yeah.
So
But so they're saying the spring runs
Straight through-
underneath the
underneath the
spring
hospital.
from the pond. I mean,
No,
the water from
no,
the pond.
no.
Oh, okay.
That's not. I don't think that's actually too far from where my mom used to live. That explains a lot.
Well, and the railway was real close to the river, the Tennessee River.
hmm
Yeah.
And all the battles that happen there on the river as well. All of that goes in and underneath the hospital.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Kind of looking up some stuff real quick on there, see if there's anything that really says.
Well, I find this a little bit interesting. The Chickamauga Lake. There was actually a huge battle there as well. And if I'm reading this right, because here is Pittsburgh, that the Tennessee River feeds right into that lake, comes back out, and goes relatively close to the pond. It doesn't go directly to the pond, but we don't know any underground streams or anything else that could be feeding it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a big river. I think we noticed that the Tennessee River turned red.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was reading something just a second ago that kind of contradicts everything. Said there was no evidence that indicates the pond became bloodstained during the battle. It said in fact there's no contemporary evidence that a Pawnee was even on that spot during the war. So, but it's still though, you think if the ground was blood soaked, that maybe it's just in the soil itself. It's
Yeah,
in the
maybe it
rich
wasn't a
soil.
pond. That's just where they.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they said on the map, if I can find it, it shows it's not too far from where they said the hornet's nest, where the
Yeah,
battle was
right.
from the hornet's nest.
Because this said the sole account one account came from a local citizen who years later told of walking by a pond a few days after the battle and seeing that stained with blood. So so it may have been a myth, possibly. But the fact that it does turn red still. I mean, the pond is there now, as we know it.
Yeah.
But it is soaked blood, red. Well, it looks like blood, Maybe they just put two and two together. But I mean, who knows? It's still an interesting fact. I mean, it's part of the Civil War, where this battle happened here.
Well, and over 20,000 people died in 2 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a lot of.
And where did they go?
Well, the
You
blood
don't
was
haul
soaked
them
down
off.
into the
You don't haul
ground
them
too.
off.
A lot of them just, were left there to die. Basically, they're left there.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, why there's so many things walking the earth now, as far as that area, possibly because a lot of people had unrest.
Yeah.
Not properly buried. Died a horrific
Yeah.
way.
Or especially in
Yeah.
those times where they had pieces
Yeah.
of the soldiers left.
Right.
And we're just going to all put them right here, and this is just going to be it.
You see piles of bodies and stuff. And just,
Yeah, and there's other videos too on there when you do your searches at night. There's been some guys that have gone out and investigated it, and they get some pretty strong EVPs of screams, yells.
I might have to do that. I need to see how far this is from where I'm actually going.
You want the address?
Yeah, you got it.
I do. I actually mapped it all out because I want to go. I think it'd be really interesting for the team to actually get to go to the National Military Park, take a tour of that, and then go over to the hospital and spend the night there.
Great. Jamie and I are gonna go to Tennessee, and we're gonna look in our back seat, and there's gonna be roads. Hey guys, you stopping at McDonald's?
Sneaking a free ride.
Just drop me off at the pond. It's fun.
Trying to see if there's anything else that jumped out at me during talking about this. I've never heard of this. I've heard of the battle of like Shiloh. I never really paid attention to the depths of it as far as the blood stained pond and stuff like that. That's crazy in this hospital. It's interesting. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, you can. Amazing how many. Yeah, and I actually, listened to some that were, 20 minutes long where they were talking about how they break everything down and it turns red and the algae and there's a lot of videos on there that you can watch about it.
I think it's always baffled me about the South and the whole area. I mean, that's been how many years ago? You can still go to this day to those locations and get bullets to weaponry, gun. You can still see all this stuff if you just dig and look for it.
Oh,
It's
can
all
you
still
imagine
there.
being in there right now and going over there with a metal detector?
It'd be fun. I mean, I would love to do that. I mean, I know there's. I remember in high school there was people that they planned like trips like that. Our school would, you could go take a trip down there and go hunting for this stuff. And I wish I would have went in hindsight, but I was like, I'm not gonna go down the South in the summer.
I probably wish you'd rather go.
Yeah. It's craziness. I wish I would have done.
Well, and a lot of the videos too that they had and the black and white pictures, that they were showing is these battles were fought completely different too. I mean, it was 2,000 people, 1,500, and they ran and met in the middle and they fought it out until the last man stood.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's not like
now, or even 50 years, 60 years, 70 years ago, it's all done with guns and shooting 5 miles away and. You didn't just sit there with a knife and a bayonet and a gun that could shoot one bullet every 3 minutes before it took you to load it again. I mean, they fought hand in hand.
Yeah.
That's why they said that, I think it was the nest, the Hornet's nest. Just so many people died.
I can't even imagine.
That's nuts. Yeah. I don't know if you want to take a break real quick and then we can come back and go here in just a little bit.
Had you anybody here ever heard about that?
No, that's the first I've ever
See,
heard
I
of
even asked Jason about it and he was
I've heard of the battle. I just never heard of that. I didn't go into details because it wasn't one that ever grabbed me. But now that you hear about it, it's like, wow, that's kind of cool. I wish I would have. So.
And then when I was doing other stuff, they said you ought to talk about, go check out, go check.
some odd reason, both
Wow.
roads says
You're-
boom.
You're,
Then I'll go.
that's all that's left.
No,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We'll let you
And
go
we'll
now.
let Leo go.
All right, guys, welcome back. Sorry about the little break there. We just trying to get regrouped and everything, and just kind of get back on track here. So the next one I'm going to talk about here is one everybody knows about, everybody's heard about. It's one of the more famous battles, of course. For me, it's fun. It's kind of what it's got me really active in the ghost hunting back in the days. I looked at this story, and really, I mean, it's intrigued me. It's the Battle of, of course, Gettysburg. Everybody knows about that. Everybody knows about Lincoln going there, doing his Emancipation Proclamation afterward. Yeah, Gettysburg Address, I guess what it's called. It's just one of the most famous battles. This one happened on July 1st, 1863. 1863. This one,
63.
yeah, hasn't happened yet. Look for it.
We'll be there. Just look for our shirts.
That's right. This battle was actually a 3-day battle, Ruth. Like yours was 2-day battle, and Shiloh was. This one's actually a 3-day battle. This is one that says they changed American history forever. When they said everything was all said and done, they said, of course, the Union soldiers had won at this battle. Said nearly 5,000 horses and 50,000 men were dead or dying. So this one was a bloody battle. You said you had
20,000.
2 days.
20,000 in
This is
2 days.
50,000 and 5,000 horses.
Well, they had to updo you.
In 3 days. Wow.
But this was also an extra day though. So I mean, but still,
So it's
it
almost
was
100,000 people.
it was a majority.
Just
It was almost
massacred.
yeah.
What Michelle was saying is you said 627,000 people lost their lives.
620,
Yeah.
Yep.
100,000,
I mean,
600.
So it's
20,000.
300 off.
It's just crazy to think how many
Wow.
people have died. It says that one thing it also said is many of the Confederate soldiers that passed away were never received a actually proper burial in the North. They just said, "Oh well, you're on the other side. You're gonna lay here and die," basically, and that's where they stayed to this day. Which is probably one of the reasons why I think most people think Gettysburg is one of the most haunted towns in America. I mean, you hear about Savannah, Georgia, you hear about Atchison for us, and then you hear about Gettysburg out east. And of course, it's just crazy to think. I mean, such a horrific battle happened, and this is what the end result was. A lot of the ghosts they see are some of the famous ones. I mean, I know he didn't die there, but one of them was Confederate General Robert E. Lee. I'm trying to get his picture up. This is his. It's a drawing of him. I think it's not an actual picture, but I mean, the picture I saw would look pretty similar to this. I mean, it's a pretty good drawing of him actually. It could be a picture, but anyways,
it looks
Yeah.
like a painting.
it looks like a painting. That's what I thought too. It was pretty, but the picture, if you put it side by side with his actual picture,
Yeah, but I
It
mean,
looks
back
identical.
then you actually had to sit there and be
sit still for the next 10 hours. I want to paint your
like, "Are
picture.
you done? Because I got a battle to go to. This is
But-
ridiculous."
The thing about Lee, though, it surprised me. I think he's one of them that didn't even want to really fight for that side. I mean, he didn't want to fight at all. He was kind of sympathetic towards the North, but he did it because that's where he's from. It was called upon him to do so, and he's like, well, got to do what I got to do, basically, kind of a thing. And so he led the South as much as he could, and eventually, gave up to, surrendered to Grant up in the North, So, but that's one of the ghosts they said still they reported to see is Lee's ghost walking around in just different areas of the town and stuff like that. But nothing. Like I said, he never passed away there, obviously. But one of the most famous places haunted is there's quite a few of them actually there. But this is one called the Daniel Lady Farm, and Max can pull that up right there. What it is it was used as a Confederate Army's field hospital, and basically the ghost of one of the generals that I don't think he passed away there, but he fought there. His name was General Isaac Ewell. I didn't give you the picture of that, but he's known to be walking around there because he was there at one time, getting served, for whatever. He probably took a couple, wounded battle or got wounded in battle. But they also see about 10,000 soldiers still walking around this farm out in the field, just kind of lurking. And some of them were there, like I said, received trauma treatment, whatever. Like we talked about earlier with the whole, sawing off the limbs and stuff like that. This is what happened in this makeshift hospital, basically, on this property.
Mhm.
So yeah, but they don't see any kind of, like you said with the Shiloh. They don't see any like blood stains or anything like that on natural grounds. They just see the actual soldiers themselves walking around, and they hear a lot of screams, of course, that kind of thing. A lot of bumping around, It reminds me of one of our cases we had recently where I can't remember which location it was. We've had a couple of them where they said they've seen Confederate soldiers come up to, or Union soldiers come and visit them in the
Wasn't
basement.
that Wilson?
Was it Wilson? There's been a couple of those because Wilson, one of our friends that we came to know over the years, Tiffany, she's actually seen a soldier right up on a horse. Now this is one where they talked about. No, Darren was talking about this place when he was on our show.
Oh yeah.
Talked about that basement of the Melbourne Manor, I think it was, or no, one of those places down south, McRae Mansion maybe. He said that
That
lady
was Maple something.
Maple, the lady that lives there now, the caretaker, I think it's McRae Mansion, I think is what it is. She would supposedly hear like she'd fall asleep in the bed, and then she'd wake up and there'd be soldiers lying in the bed, looking down at her, and just kind of like, holy shit, kind of freaking her out.
I think it was Roth that told me a story, and well, it's Roth telling a story, so
right,
about a lady that was we were on our way to Oberlin, and you had a lady that you knew or whatever, and she was telling you a story about how she got out of her car.
That was Leo's friend.
That's Tiffany.
Yeah,
Oh, that was
Tiffany.
Tiffany?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She was early in the morning. She worked at a hospital or like a nurse's home or something, wherever she works at.
The guy rode up on a horse.
She could hear it, clip clop, whatever, clacking along, whatever. And she's like, why is there a horse coming down the middle of the street? She could hear it, and she looked up, so she's seen this actual horse and a soldier riding up on her, and like she scared the shit out of her, of course, but she was fine. But he just kind of rode past her and like, you know what, ma'am, like tipped his hat, and kept on going, and then turned the corner and disappeared, and she was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to work now, and just.
I would have been like, nope, I'm going back to bed.
This was early in the morning. The sun was barely coming up,
Well, she said it was so lifelike that
Yeah.
she'd actually made phone calls to see if they were doing any reenactments
Yeah, that's right.
of the Civil
Yeah.
War in that area.
It's crazy to think, man, but yeah. And that's happened a couple of different places we've been recently where people have told us that same kind of story. I can't remember what the other one we had recently. I don't think it's.
It was Wilson.
Wilson that's where that is.
Yeah, but I heard that one in Oberlin, so I would have related that to
Oh,
Oberlin.
yeah, no, this was actually Wilson, that location. I wouldn't just want to say it was Oberlin too that had one similar to that.
But they've had lots of soldiers. Wasn't there like a bunch of soldiers buried alongside the railroad?
That's in Wilson.
Yeah, that's Wilson.
Well, Wilson,
Yeah.
it's not so much the soldiers that are buried there. Where the hotel sits on that strip, and then you go across the train tracks, and then there's that street where the opera house is across the way.
Where the bar is.
Yeah, on the corner is the bar, right? Or close to there. But when they were putting the road in, they were digging the road up, to put the fountain, the actual whatever they do to build the road, the mesh and stuff and all that crap. They started finding body after body. There were so many of them that they couldn't even. They're like, you know what? We're not even gonna mess with this. We're gonna just pay the road over it. So it makes me wonder. When we first started going there and I heard that story, I thought maybe that was why the place was so haunted. But then we got there and got to investigate more, and I think it's not really related. But I don't know.
I think it could have something to do with it, just like adding a little bit more fuel to the fire, maybe.
Right.
But there's so much like significant things that we've experienced there that has nothing to do with, it could be somebody that is laying under the railroad tracks right now, but it's more about like, the one guy or the one girl or,
But, we haven't really talked to the whole town. Like, Oberlin, we talked to the majority. Well, not the majority. A lot of people know when we're there.
they show up.
Yeah, they were willing they've told us more of the stories of their town. But Wilson, I have a feeling there's a lot of people that haven't spoke up yet. Part of it's a lot of them are older. They don't want to talk about it probably as possible as much.
Right.
Yeah, because think about all the tragedy over there. All of a sudden, the opera house with all the records, goes up in flames, and that's on that side of the street. The bar on the corner you talked about, that lady when we first went there she came over and was talking to us, and she was like, this place right here that we're putting this new place in, can't keep anybody here. The tenants, for whatever reason, that business fails. And she said that building's haunted. It's like haunted. Like, no, you got to come over and see it. I gave her my card, but we haven't heard from her. I don't know if she's still there or not. Because it wasn't the bar. The bar is kind of on the corner.
Right.
This is the shop in the front of it facing the hotel.
Okay.
And they were in the process of opening it. I think it was a boutique now or something, or antiques. If I remember right.
I remember seeing the mannequin and I was like, who's standing in that window?
Yeah.
Mannequin.
So I don't know if that's the same business when she told us that. 'Cause that was years ago. We started going there. It's been a few years. I mean, Larry was still around at the time. He was on our first trip with us, to there. So that's been about 2-3 years ago, at least. But she said for whatever reason that corner lot they can't keep any business that moves in there is going to fail, basically. And sure enough.
There's just a lot of history throughout that whole town, though.
Well, and one of the things that's sad there is any of the history that's left is anybody that's in their 90s and above. It's all in their head now. You know,
that's just it.
Yeah.
And there's so many like Indians out there too. Stories. I mean, like I can't remember her name. The lady that's out there now. She's the one that found the farmhouse at the grave.
Tina,
there you go.
Yep.
She was telling stories about the grave she rode up on out of nowhere and it freaked the crap out of her.
And she was sending pictures like, look how creepy this is.
Yeah. She said next time we go out there, if we want to go, she'll take us out there. But it's just like I don't know, it's somebody's property.
I hope we get out there soon, though.
We'll go back again. Yeah, it's kind of hard right now when it gets colder and stuff like that because a lot of people don't want to go walk around town and when it's freezing. So, but. Continue on with back to Gettysburg.
Sorry.
No. Like so, once we started talking, it goes many directions. But talked about the Daniel Flay farm we just brought up. The next one is called the Cashtown Inn. I see you have it ready. This is another hotel stay. Like a kind of like a bed and breakfast kind of place, but it's a hotel. This was the site of the first actual soldier that was killed. I'm having trouble with that word too, Michelle. I know you stumbled on it a minute ago. The word is soldier.
Yes.
keep wanting to say shoulder.
Shoulders.
Yeah.
The first soldier for still there.
So if you hear shoulder, we mean,
You mean
soldier.
soldier. For someone,
word of the night.
Yeah. But to this day, they still hear sounds of thumping, doors, lights turning on and off. There's doors that will open and close and lock on their own. It's just a whole,
So annoying.
crazy stuff. It's just a whole thing that, this town is just notorious for all these haunts. And that's happened to be one of the places. They didn't really say anything about as far as what ghosts they see there. Some of them had specific, names of Confederate soldiers or Union soldiers they saw, but this one just said that this is what goes on. They see pretty much everybody, like the soldiers, knocking on the door and stuff.
You got room for the night?
Right. And then the Gettysburg, that's the one coming up next. It's the Gettysburg Hotel. This place is pretty cool. If I want to go just look at the building myself and just see it versus, the haunts itself. But
Yeah.
But here they have the ghost of a woman seen dancing in the ballroom, which we've heard of that in a couple places too. We were up in Lawrence, Kansas at the Eldridge.
Yeah.
That big
Or
ballroom.
even here,
Yep.
Woodstock.
Yeah, that too at the Eldridge or at the Broadview, whatever.
Yeah.
That one has it. There's another one not too far from there. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'm drawing blanks. I'm so
Oh,
Gettysburg
the
up.
one that's by the Murdoch or whatever?
Yeah, it's on the corner. Well, no, there's another one that's on the corner. You're talking about Occidental or the God damn, what's it called? I'm sorry, I'm all Gettysburg up now. I can't think of anything local here
The
is.
oldest building.
You're talking about the one across the street, right? That's
Yeah.
an apartment complex now.
Yeah, it was a hotel and they converted it or whatever.
I can't think it's called. I can see the name of it. I just can't think of what it
It's
is.
just a big,
It's a big, like,
building.
white building, I think it is, and it has
Yeah.
red letters on top. I can't think of what it's
Uh-huh.
called.
It's like if you're standing at the Murdoch, it's right there.
Hey, I'll look at it real quick. I'll pull that up while we're thinking about it. I can just Google it right here.
Well, while you're Googling it, I actually have a story about
Go ahead.
the Gettysburg Hotel.
Excuse me.
So I did not get to experience this, but one of my exes was taking a class trip, and they got to stay in this hotel. And she says that some of the rooms have bunk beds, so she was on the top bunk, and she had the blankets messed with. It'd pull it off, or
Got it.
pull it up, stuff like that. So that's kind of fun to hear.
Didn't even get that far into It's the Commodore.
Oh,
duh.
okay.
It just hit me all of a sudden. I'm like, duh. I knew it was in red letters across the top of it.
Okay.
I'm like, what the hell is that called? No, I was thinking of the one downtown, right not too far from the arena. The one with, God damn, what the hell is, why can't I think of anybody's names today? Carrie Nation, when she smashed the bar.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That is the,
Jason tells me about it every time we're like,
It's
we
hard
play.
Tattoo place.
no, it's on,
No.
it's on Douglas.
No.
It's something with an H, isn't it? Not the Hilton, but the, God dang it. I'm so bad.
It's right there on the corner.
Yeah.
I
He
know
tells
it
me
too.
about it every time.
It's not the Highland. It's not.
I'm gonna try to pull it up right now. And I'll
But
get it
as we're
quick.
going to the cemetery on our tour, we pass that.
Yeah.
And he tells it every single time.
I just know Carrie Nation was there. She smashed her bar.
She crazy.
It's one of the most famous ones in Wichita as far as,
I
prohibition and
can't
stuff.
think of it either. How many times have I heard it?
Right? I mean,
You should know this, Michelle.
I
You're one of
know.
the tour
I
guys.
should. I
How
should.
dare
I'm
you?
telling.
Jason's gonna be so mad.
Oh, he's watching right now.
Eating place.
Eating.
That's it.
God damn! Why can't we remember anything? Son of a
Welcome
gun.
to the Forgetful Show.
Jesus.
What's your name again?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. Anywho, off our tangent, back on the Gettysburg.
Okay.
So the Murdoch, Gettysburg Hotel. No, they talked about seeing a bunch of Union soldiers there that still roam this building. One was being James Culbertson of the Company K out of Pennsylvania Reserves. He's known to be walking around there. We talked about the woman that dances in the ballroom. She's reported to be there. And I could almost guarantee they'd probably see just soldiers left and right. Not necessarily famous ones, but just people.
When was this built?
That's a good question. It's like 1870 off the top of my head. I don't remember. Michelle could ask me these questions. I should know these. Can't remember my
You're
damn
usually
name.
asking me, and I don't know. So
I know it's 70. I want to say it's 70. Nah, not 76. That doesn't sound right. Especially the battle being 63. Hold on a second. Are you pulling up too?
Trying to.
1797.
oh, so it was there before.
Yeah, almost 100 years before. Not 100 years because it happened in 65, whatever, 63.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1797.
So
Oh, wow.
it's been there a little. It's been there some few years.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me. I get the feeling kind of like the Eldridge in Lawrence with the chair and the colonel, whatever, and it makes me wonder what they have in there that's attracting other than just the battle itself. But
Need to start calling, being like, hey.
Did they use it as a hospital?
no, it's just the fact that people stayed there. I mean, it's just because it's on Gettysburg land, basically.
Okay.
Another one. Are you looking at it? I'm trying to pull it up quick.
I was just looking to see if there's anything like any other. They have haunted rooms, of course.
Oh yeah, I can imagine so. Yeah.
The only thing is, like, some of the things are like built in 1812 as a farmhouse, but that's a different. I'm guessing that's a different hotel. It's probably.
Oh, it
One that
served
you're
as a
gonna
field
talk
hospital.
So I guess it was partial. I'm sure all those buildings.
Well, this one.
They pretty much just took them all there to
Well, I mean,
build
that
they could
many
find.
people, they
Yeah.
probably had to.
We're gonna say
But
man.
this is the Balladary Inn.
The one coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah. we
that
might-
served as that.
Yeah, that's a
this
hospital.
isn't the Gettysburg Hotel.
Yeah, this is the different we haven't talked about yet. But hey, they got flat screen TVs now, HDTV.
Woo!
So they're moving up in the world. But yeah, no, I don't think it was used as a hospital. The hotel wasn't. It was just the fact that it was there as a hospital,
I imagine
as a
there's
room,
probably,
board.
um,
You gotta remember the octopus. Sorry, Miss Garrett, if I did. You like to go crazy.
Did you just say the octopus?
The octopus. The occupants of this town, remember, they kind of ran away from the building, or like the war. They tried to hit in every corner they could. So
yeah.
I bet you the hotel was one place that was booked up, or because I mean the war is going on outside your window basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
And probably officers stayed there too.
yeah,
But it
probably
does
the
look
higher
like it
rating.
was renovated.
It has been. There's talk about different things over the years. I didn't think it was necessary to talk about. And in 1926, they got running water. I'm just kidding. But no, it looks like a stately building. I mean, just the way it looks. I mean, it's one of those ones you see and it like catches your eye. Like, whoa, let's see what that is.
Yeah, I was just looking at like whatever is next to it.
I
Like
think
the
that's a
difference in architecture.
yeah. You can tell. Oh yeah, definitely. That's more of a flatter roof.
Yeah, the architecture doesn't look that old to me.
Right.
That's what surprised me when I first started doing the research on it. I talked about this building. I pulled it up. I'm like, this is the building because it does look. I mean, it looks newer. Of course, they've done renovation to it, but it's just the fact that it doesn't look like what you.
Yeah, because there's no like
Expect.
pitch to the roof. It's very
Yeah, flat.
square.
I didn't know they
Yeah.
made flat roofs back then.
And that could have been an add-on over the
Yeah.
years, but I don't think to my knowledge, it wasn't. I think that's how it was. 'Cause
It
the
kind
pictures
of
I
reminds me
saw.
of the Wilson though, of the Midland Hotel. How it like, if you look up the side of it, and then it stops, and then that's the part that burned down, and they had to add to it.
Mhm.
So it has like a
Yeah, that's
different.
true.
I mean, that's what that kind of reminds me of. How they have that seal going around on the Whatever
That's a good
floor
guess.
that is.
We'll just go with that.
But did you know that this is not even the oldest building in Gettysburg? The oldest building was actually built 20 years prior.
It was like 1976, wasn't it?
1776.
1976.
Excuse me. Yeah, 1776,
2076.
I think. What was the name of it? I can't remember.
Started with a D. Dobbins.
Dobbins, that's it.
Is it Dobbins?
1776.
Dobbin. The Dobbin House.
Dobbin. And what did they turn it into, or did they say, or?
Let's find out.
That's what I should pull up too. Dobbins House Tavern.
Yep.
Also known as the Dobbins House.
Or the house?
I like their pool.
I bet that is an
That
original.
looks like
There
a.
it is.
It
looks
turns
like, I
red.
was gonna say, it looks like a. The building itself looks like, I'm gonna grab a screen cap of that or not, but it looks like a building you would expect from that era.
Yeah,
Kind of
right.
like a barn shaped, kind of
Mhm.
stable-ish, we'll say. Let's see here.
It's huge though.
Yeah, it is. Was established 1776.
See if I can get a good
It was built
picture.
to be a home for the Reverend Alexander Dobbin and his family. It says it may have been a first stop on the Underground Railroad.
Oh,
Which is
really?
interesting. Just north of the Mason-Dixon line. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
The underground?
Mm-hmm. It said during the Battle of Gettysburg, the house served as a temporary field hospital. So once again, pretty much almost every building was used as a makeshift hospital for these wounded soldiers.
I think that's what they
Soldiers.
call it now.
What's that? Funny. And then it said today it's just a popular tavern and restaurant. It says.
It's amazing they're still.
The basement reminded me of the one that we just came back from in Lawrence.
Eldridge.
Some of the pictures, the Eldridge, yeah.
Yeah, that's a credible building. I mean, just the fact.
That they're still standing
Yeah, I mean,
and being
they're-
used.
especially with all well, I guess the type of artillery used. The most they could erect it with would be a cannon, I guess. But
Well, but a lot of people went out burning everything down,
these are all brick though. Most
you
of them.
know?
I
What'd you
wonder
say?
how many of them are actually built with limestone though.
I don't know. I haven't written it.
I haven't seen
about
too
that.
many.
Well, I mean, it could have been foundation. It could have been. I
Right.
mean, I know this is Pennsylvania, but Rhode Island, almost all of the farmlands in Rhode Island are actually lined with limestone because it's just, I want to build a fence, and that's what they used. And you're not allowed to touch it. It's against the law for you to mess with those walls that they have built. But yeah, so I mean,
Fall over.
Well, most of the homes, early homes were made of limestone here in Kansas
Right.
because that's what was
Available
available.
to them.
Exactly.
Yep. Especially you go out west, kind of north and west, you'll see all limestone everywhere. Even still to this day, it just depends. The post. There's the first fuck of the night. There's
It's
two.
catching.
I swear.
it's all
Anywho.
Actually, that's your second, but who's counting?
I said it was number 2.
It's,
On the next picture. Like, fuck me, God.
Wow. This picture?
Oh, Jesus Christ, man,
Man.
this is a bad night. Oh,
On to the next picture.
Yes.
I need subtitles. What he said was, on to the next picture. What was really said was, whatever the correct, what do you call it? Whatever I said. I don't know what I said.
He's like, I'm done.
Picture? Okay, this next one's called the Balladary Inn that you were talking about earlier. Yep.
Yeah.
That one looks pretty cool. That kind of gives me more of what it would look like back in the day as far as the Gettysburg Hotel. I mean, that one looks more for that type
Period
of building. Yeah,
correct.
period building. I mean, just the way it looks itself.
Is that bottom row limestone though? You can't tell from the
wood.
Is that wood?
No, I'm just kidding.
Don't
It's
listen to me.
You mean
limestone.
around the base, the
You mean on
foundation.
the foundation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
that's
looks like it
limestone.
is. So that's cool. That makes more sense to why this. I mean, holding all this
We're
energy.
cracking the cases, guys.
That's right.
Hmm.
One at a time.
Solved.
Isn't that what we're
Um,
here for?
The thing I thought this was kind of interesting is located on a hospital road still to this day, and it was a Union Field hospital during day 2 of the battle. And also, now that there's tennis courts clear close by, there's a bunch of Confederate soldiers buried under these tennis courts still to this day, which may help to explain why they're seeing all these soldiers walking around. You know, they didn't get the proper burial.
Oh, jeez.
You know, unmarked graves. You know, who knows how many are there? So crazy.
So many unmarked graves.
This next one doesn't have a picture, but you can actually take a train. It's called the Ghost Train in Gettysburg right now, and you can go. It starts at one end and it goes clear across. You go over the actual battlefield, and you can
Oh, wow.
see they kind of like a tour where you can see they'll say in this location, this battle was fought, this was what's happening and whatnot. They say people that take the actual train itself can still smell cigar smoke as you go across the actual battlefields, and they see soldiers roaming all the time, roaming around the tracks still. And they also hear, the battle, like we talked about the drums. Oh, you pull that for? I'm ready for that yet. You jumped the gun.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready yet. Anyways, that's fine. But you can hear the battle drums still, being beaten. You can hear a lot of people catch EVPs. I heard one on. I was doing some research. There's one that said somebody thought it said run, like run. You can hear something in the distance yelling this. People were filming in Gettysburg. I thought that was kind of. They thought it was a soldier yelling "run."
Looks like Cary Grant looking over Blood River.
What this is actually, this is a place called Devil's Den.
Mhm.
Devil's Den, and this is one of the most famous pictures they have supposedly of this area. This is called the Ghost by the Rock, and it's what it was. These whole rock says the Confederate soldiers took shelter back in this area, and they used it to attack Union soldiers that were coming by, and they hit them on this rock. They launched, artillery and all kinds of stuff. And I'm not sure as far as the actual year in the picture itself, but people reported they see this apparition constantly. And
This guy?
Yeah, it's called
That's
the
not a
Ghost.
guy?
No, it's called the Ghost by the Rock. It's one of the most famous pictures from Gettysburg out there because they see this apparition of this. What's the word again? Soldier.
Soldier.
Shoulder.
Yes.
Shoulders. They see his shoulders.
We see his shoulders all the time.
Didn't look like a.
No, the hat looks.
Yeah, they said it was kind of a. I can't
This
think
looks like a
they
ranger.
They gave it a name like. I can't remember.
Fedora or.
Yeah, not a fedora, but the next one was. I had trouble with it, but they say this is another one of those words, soldiers, walking by that same area. So if you pull the next one up, that one, that looks too real to be fake, but it also doesn't look as clear. I mean, it's very grainy. So.
And how often do you see apparitions that are in color like that?
I actually had the same question probably a couple days ago. With people just coming to me and talking about like, oh, I witnessed this or I saw this, and a couple of them are describing the red hair of the person they see or the blue dress of the person they see, and I'm like, okay, was it a dream? They're like, no, I was fully awake and I saw this little girl with a pink bow tie or whatever walk across the hall, and I'm like, that's rare as far as I know.
I mean, you think about to the story of the Project House and Anthony, they were seeing this redheaded girl walking down below.
Underneath
like dripping wet hair.
it was the underneath the master bedroom, wasn't it?
I can't remember. It was just in the second stairs, or the second story, excuse me. But they said it was reddish hair, like orangish reddish hair, dripping. Thing is that but how often do you see an apparition that clear and take a picture of it too? Though, so I mean, we don't get that luxury most of the time, and if we do, it's going to be at night vision.
Right.
So it's hard to say, but this was during just somebody taking pictures, snapping off a couple of few.
I
And
wonder what they were actually taking a picture of if they weren't taking a picture of this person.
that's a good point. I mean, because that's just, I think, because there's reports of them seeing soldiers constantly in this area when you go visit this rock area, and people have witnessed those certain ones, like 2 or 3 of them pointing to a certain area, and it's called Plum. I think it's called Plum Road or Plum Valley or something, not too far from there. Like they want you to go look at this particular area. The soldiers they see this apparition, and it's always
Like
pointing
all the time.
It's pointing this direction. Go that way, because the battle where this Devil's Den is located, it's located right, kind of the fields were called Triangular Field or something like that, where it's. This one's located in the central. The one to the right is all like the Gettysburg's main stuff, and then to the left is this Plum area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always pointing to that direction. Like there's more that way, go that way, kind of a thing. So it's interesting, but I mean the area is huge. Look at on a map how big this battlefield was.
And if you sit here, it's like, what were they taking a picture of?
Well, that's just it. They're just taking pictures of like the.
Maybe they were just.
If you look at behind it, the whole battlefield right in front of you.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole a battlefield in front of you.
The skin tone is too good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's hard to say.
I don't know if this picture was cropped or anything, but If I was on a sightseeing tour for history, I don't see why I would take a picture of that. I would try to get like a
Right.
different
scenic.
angle or yeah. That's just weird.
But if you're randomly trying to catch a ghost, then you're going to be taking shots like
Well,
we do
and
at everything.
Who knows if they were trying to take ghosts? Maybe they were just taking pictures of the field. The
Yeah.
battlefield. I mean, this is the famous rocks that you hear about at Devil's Den. And
It's too centered.
that may have been like a.
It could have been cropped.
Yeah, I was gonna look at it and see if I could find a better view of it because. Well, I mean, if you look at the rocks, I know that you can't see it at home, but there's just a pile of rocks basically.
Oh, yeah.
So they're just snapping all pictures, and there's the battlefield in front. So maybe
What is the?
just type in Devil's Den, Gettysburg, under images, and you'll see just a pile of rocks. I mean, and it was just like a little bit of a shelter area, like we talked about when the soldiers used it. And it's not much to it. You see the battlefield right in front of it. So yours just came up with different pictures than mine.
Well, I put it in haunted.
Oh, I didn't even put a haunted. I just put in, but some of them came up the same.
But I'm still not seeing the same.
Like if you look at
Oh,
this,
here it is.
yeah, like that.
Oh.
Yeah, see, so it's
There it
That's
is.
different.
so
That's
that
a little
I
bit
just
different.
grabbed that one. Yeah, I didn't even see. I should have put it haunted.
Let me see if I can do it.
So that's
See,
why it's enhanced.
They actually,
because,
it's enhanced.
yeah, that's why they cropped it so you could see it better. I should have
It's
kept
an
on going.
enhanced shoulder.
And not the soldier. Growth.
It's not fun
Yeah.
to make fun of people.
Someone.
Not
That's
nice.
the actual.
So that's the original photo, yeah. So there's this
That makes
one I
sense.
grabbed was a
in there.
enhanced
No, there's a
proper
word
version, like you said, of it, where it's zoomed in. So you see that.
It even
So
looks
I
more
don't see
real.
nothing down there.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
more
From
real.
the
Can't be
small
the
zoomed out
motorcycle,
one, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I didn't remember seeing that now that you say that. 'Cause I was like, wow, is this real? I started reading about
There's
it.
nothing
Yeah,
sparkling.
it's
You
one
see
of the
what I'm
pictures.
saying?
So I don't know, and maybe
What is
it
that?
maybe it is
Sorry?
fake, but what are the odds? I mean, they
No.
were doing a reenactment with one soldier
You
at
moved
the
it,
time.
right?
You know,
I think it's interesting.
Right there.
it's gonna get even more interesting when we start going over some of the videos here in just a second. The one that I've always, like I said, when I first started hearing about Gettysburg, obviously I knew about Gettysburg from history lessons, but this is one that's been circulating for years upon years coming up. It's called the Underwood footage. The problem is it's very, very grainy because it's videotaped on like cassette tapes.
Sorry.
It wasn't digital, so it's gonna be very, very crappy. But the version I put together of it, you'll see it, I enhanced where I zoomed in a little bit and I was able to circle a couple of things, and then we'll go back and watch it again. So if you want to play that, that'd be letter H, I believe, on the file, Max.
All right, here we go.
And you want to kill the mic so we can listen to it live?
Motorcycle. Okay. Don't move in there. No, there's a motorcycle. See?
I don't see nothing down there. Can't be the motorcycles, honey. There's nothing sparkling. You see what I'm
What's
saying?
that? What is that?
Tree.
No. You moved it, right? Right there. See it?
Uh-huh.
Look.
There's nobody there. I can't see.
Look. Isn't it the people?
Can't be.
There's nobody.
Not up in the
down-
trees.
There's nobody down there no more. See?
Unfortunately, I couldn't find any version of HD of that. The most I could find was 480, and it's very
So
grainy.
grainy.
Yeah, but I remember watching shows about this particular footage years ago about this, and they're like, she was adamant that you can hear him talking on an actual video. If you go back chance, go back and watch it. They're like, what is that? And I'm like, we don't know. What is that? What do you see? And the husband's like, I don't see anything down there, because she saw those flashes of lights, and there must be a road nearby or something and close by, because he's like, that can't be. She tells him, he tells her older folks, he goes, that can't be no motorcycle, honey. He's sitting there talking during all this stuff. There's a little kid in the background too talking, like You hear at the very end of the footage, it goes, there's nobody down there now. They're gone.
It's so interesting how you see it go up. It's almost like he's pacing back.
There's multiple. It's not the same one.
There's two or three people.
There's probably like 6 or 7 of them walking.
Yeah, you see like one.
Could have been a platoon.
Well, because they were asking, because the whole version of the footage they showed I've seen years ago, they talked about like, why would they be doing a reenactment this late? Because it's dark.
They're glowing.
And this thing is flashing. Yeah, and they're like, why would they be doing a reenactment this late? And they asked about it. They could never find anybody that says no.
It's like what you said, Michelle.
What?
The glowing.
Yeah. Maybe they were wounded and
but
they got the.
I think that's exactly what caught their eye was the flashes at first. What's that flashing?
Where'd you find that at?
It's just on the internet. If you go to YouTube, it's just if you just type in "Ghost of Gettysburg," it's one of the famous ones. I just knew I did more research. It's the Underwood.
I believe there's actually a documentary on Netflix called something around the Ghost of Gettysburg.
Oh, really? Yeah, I did see it. It is. There is. There is.
So if you want,
I haven't watched it yet.
They probably.
What is it?
It's called the Ghost of Gettysburg.
Gettysburg, yeah.
Yep. Ghosts. But that was one of them that really I've seen it years ago, and I'm like, holy shit! For apparitions, that's one of the best ones I've seen originally. This next one, letter I don't. What brought it up? Well, why we're bringing it up because it's kind of our. For those of the people at home that know about us, we're Everyday Legacy Paranormal. We started out as Legacy Paranormal, and there's Everyday Paranormal down in Texas, in that area down south. The Kling brothers, Brad, and I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head now.
How dare you?
But Brad Kling's the one in the video. Basically, what happened was Jeremiah met him years ago, and they wanted us to join with them. So we became Everyday Legacy, basically. And that's why Callahan came about also, too. They were Everyday Paranormal out of Missouri. We were basically offshoots of this show, and basically Ghost Lab, if anybody ever saw that back in the days on Discovery Channel, that's the Kling Brothers show. That's not around anymore, but you can still watch episodes online. And it used to be on Netflix still. But Brad Kling is one of the guys that Jeremiah met and knew, and his brother. And what's interesting about this video is he swears up and down this is what got him interested in the paranormal. This video we're going to show in just a second. They haven't put up yet, but the video itself. It's during the day. Him and his dad went on a trip to Gettysburg. They're out just filming, and they look over in this field and they see what they think is a reenactment of Civil War stuff going on. So he starts filming it, and he's filming it, and all of a sudden he's like, "I want to get a closer look." So they stop the car and he takes off and goes on the field and it disappears. He's trying to find it. He says that if this was people doing this reenactment, they'd have had to run 300 yards just like that and disappear because it's out in the open. You'll see it here in just a second. Go ahead and play the video now. And this is what got him interested in the paranormal.
July 6, 1990. I was on a family vacation in Gettysburg. It was broad daylight and we're driving out of town. I look over in this field and I notice this group of Union soldiers just wandering through the field. I think they're doing a reenactment. So I tell my dad, hey, pull over. I want to get this on videotape. He does. I jump out, run about halfway across this field, stop, and I pan across. They're in frame for just a few seconds and I stop it because I want to get a little bit closer. As soon as I look up to start running again, they're gone. And I mean, nowhere to be found. They would have had to move about 300 yards in a second to be out of my sight. There was no possible way. It was at that very moment that I knew that the paranormal existed. And I've been wanting answers ever since.
Now, I don't know the guy.
What's he saying in it?
Basically, like what I just told
What
you.
you just said.
We were on a family vacation. So I'm just shooting footage. I see this reenactment going on. So, oh, cool. I'm going to film this. This is pretty neat, because it's right there. It's vivid. It's in color. It's not close to him. It's probably 300 yards away, obviously, because he's mentioned 300 yards. But he tries to look at it again, and it's gone. So I don't know. That's one of the videos I knew about. This is what got him going with Ghost Lab and all that stuff. This is what Discovery Channel picked him up on. So Jeremiah met him, and then long story short,
going to Tennessee.
This is Gettysburg, not Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
This is Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
And then last video here. Well, about 8:29. It's okay, we've got plenty of time. Last footage here is one of the more recent ones. Now, these guys were filming out in Gettysburg at night. They basically wanted to. Everyone knows about Gettysburg. They were looking for ghosts, and they talked to some of the people that run like the tours and stuff. You know, the what do you call them? People like the grounds
The
people.
guides.
They said, you know, go
Tourist guides?
like the keepers, like what do you call it, like the land keeper. I don't know what you want to call them.
Like groundskeeper.
Caretakers, basically.
Yeah.
They said if you want to catch something, go down this road, specific road. Go. There's a bunch of cannons lined up. You know, you can see them still there. So these guys driving down, they said this is the area they told us to park. So they just pull off and park, and they start filming. And then they see something on camera here. So if you want to pull that up, this is letter J. And I once again enhanced it and all that stuff. So this one is clear because it's 1080p HD. So you'll be able to see, hopefully.
Holy crap! Down by the canyon, see that?
Oh, what is that?
Wait, shh. Oh my God. Is it?
No way. What is that?
I have no friggin' idea.
Did you get that on the camera?
It's recording.
Oh my gosh, did you see that?
Did you, honestly?
I wouldn't believe it unless we recorded it.
Holy crap! Down by the canyon, see that?
Oh, what is that?
Wait, shh. Oh my God. Is it?
No way. What is that?
I have no friggin' idea.
July 6, 1990, I was on a family vacation in Gettysburg. It was broad.
Holy crap! Down by the canyon, see that?
Oh, what is that?
Wait, shh. Oh my God. Is it?
No way. What is that?
I have no friggin' idea.
Did you get that on the camera?
It's recording.
Oh my gosh, did you see that?
Did you, honestly?
I wouldn't believe it unless we recorded it.
Holy crap! Down by the canyon, see that?
Oh, what is that?
Wait, shh. Oh my God. Is it?
No way. What is that?
I have no friggin' idea.
I'll try and look. It's all under the Ghost of Gettysburg.
If you pull them up, you do a search on Ghost of Gettysburg, you'll find all these videos.
Okay.
And probably way more.
Yeah, there is. Some of them you can tell are fake. Just some of them are real. The guy sets up a camera on a dirt road and just sits there and watches. Maybe you don't see him, and all of a sudden you see the same kind of, like that first video with the soldiers going across.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's all South Parkish. And then he zooms in even closer, and then it starts doing it again. And it's the same like loop. It's like, eh.
I've seen those ones
They're
where
fake.
it looks like something's like dragging like this, and
Yeah.
it keeps going like this, so you can tell it's just.
I got lost in a loop earlier today. I was looking at some of these videos because then I went to a Bigfoot chasing a car in Colorado, which the camera.
Oh, I like that one.
They supposedly hit this thing.
So they
They stopped and they back up, and the back cameras, and they're just backing up. They didn't go so far, and they started backing up, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this thing comes running, and they're like, "Holy shit!" They just take off. And
I like that video.
I don't know, man. The thing's moving all crazy like it doesn't run like human, and I don't know. It looks fake, but I don't know. It looks real.
Like it.
It's cool for what it is. It's like, holy shit! I would like to know the source of that 100%. But anyway, I got
I want to know how you capture your backup camera footage. Like,
Yeah.
how do you put that on there?
Yeah, they started filming, and it's just like I think they knew they hit something big. Then I saw a police officer one where there was a male and a female police officer driving on a dirt road or a road at night, and it's real grainy though. That's what sucks because once again, it's an old dash cam footage like from the '85 or somewhere like that. All of a sudden, this thing goes dashing across the road black, and just you can see it running across. I'm like, what the hell was that? And they like hit the brakes, go spinning around, and try to find it. Supposedly, they could see it on their flashlights, but then this thing was pacing back and forth. They said, but yeah, I got lost in the loop. Of course, our mic's on, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, everyone heard about you getting lost.
Yay! That's what happens on YouTube. You start looking around things, and next thing you know, you're going on a downward spiral. We got about 24 minutes left in the show, which I didn't know if we were going to make it this long, but hey, we did it.
Yay!
One thing we can go over last, I don't know if you guys knew about this, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I know Jason kind of asked us to do some reference to it. So once I talk about it, Rose, if you want to repeat it, you can. That's fine.
No, I'm good right now.
Because
He's going to repeat it.
Jason said to go talk about it. There's a bunch of the Civil War itself ended up in Kansas. You know, they fought over here towards the end, and it got clear up to Fort Riley by Manhattan and stuff like that. And there's a bunch of ghosts they see still in that area because of the Civil War. Just a couple of them. There's one called it's actual Fort Riley hauntings. They said it's called the Artillery Parade Field. It says a woman is wrapped in chains. She's been seen walking around the field on clear nights. I don't know why she's there, what it has to do with anything, but it's the fact that, it may not have to do with anything with the Civil War, but it's still in that area.
Real zombie.
Yep. They talk about Camp Funston, which I never heard of, but said it had, I'm trying to go fast here. I should have looked at this faster. Said he killed more people. Oh, we're talking about Civil War, so, sorry. Just talk about, what the hell? Sorry, my bad. I can't find what they said here.
We talked about shoulders and
well, there's some soldiers. Soldiers. We'll go skip that one because there's one called Calvary Parade Field. It says there's a group of riders they see, can hear them and see kind of like galloping across the field. They felt the vibration of these actual hooves and stuff like that running across. There's supposed to be a bunch of soldiers. Soldiers?
shoulders.
Trying to see if there's anything else. Supposedly General Custard lived there.
Coconut custard.
One of the Custard. I don't think it's the Custard, is it?
One of the custards.
Because it says Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer once lived. The home where he once lived burned down in Molyneux.
That would be him.
Yep. A bunch of them are just basically filled. It says they're infantry parade field, a hospital, of course, typical stuff. But once again, it did end up in Kansas, so it's been affected around here. Lawrence talk about the Eldridge. That was kind of loosely tied to it because of the fact they burned it down. Colonel, I always want to say Colonel Mustard every time.
Colonel Mustard.
Rose friend, Colonel Eldridge.
Teabag.
Yeah, he was one side of the war.
It's like ankle bagged.
Ankle bagged. He has some fat ankles.
But wow. I don't know, but it's just interesting to think about all these. That's one of the bloodiest battles, and it happened, on American soil. Like I said, I would love to go take a trip to all these locations. Hit Gettysburg, hit the place you talked about, Shiloh, and down in
That would be
Tennessee. Good old, how your accent go again?
Tennessee.
Keep working on it. We'll be there, and you can start.
I'm never introducing you to anyone. From my
To anyone.
Because they would all be like,
How do you have all his teeth?
He actually has a teeth brush, not a toothbrush.
I got it.
Wow.
That's probably the best reaction
I know. You can hear the laughing out louder. It's like, oh, there it is. Hello, hey.
It's funny, but now I understand it.
Yeah,
so funny.
it got even funnier. Wow. Okay, this is the part of the show when we hit the wall. And we start going.
We hit the wall, we went through it.
So one that you didn't talk much about
Well,
is
talk about
Lincoln.
Lincoln's Ghost. Yep.
He's everywhere.
Most of the stuff that I've heard is they former presidents, every now and then will talk about him. being there in the White House.
Yep, that's
I know Bush was one that was real strong on talking about it. So
Well, he was drunk, so.
Yeah, Lincoln's definitely been known to see him. That's what they call it, the Lincoln room, whatever. His bedroom. They slept during the White House. They always see him in there. A lot of people won't even sleep in there for that reason because they see him, especially at certain times of the year. They always see him looking out the window with a sad look on his face, supposedly looking at the Potomac River. You know, 'cause that's some of the battle happened too. You know, trying to get to the White House, trying to get to him basically. So
They got pretty close.
yep. So yeah, that's one thing they always see walking around. It scared a lot of people. I want to go just to see him, man. I'm like, can I stay here, please?
Yeah,
please. Because I mean, I'd love to see that. Yep, and I don't know if there's any other ghosts. I mean, there's been presidents from years past. Like I think Coolidge is one of them. They said they saw. So he's roaming there too, and yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I would love to go to the White House and investigate.
it'd be
Excuse
interesting
me, Mr.
to.
President, can I investigate your house?
That's right. Hey, if Nicolas Cage can do it, God damn it, so can
Yeah.
Hey, we're all taxpayers. We're paying for it.
We're gonna be
All you
paying more.
gotta do
here.
is ask Trump. You never know. Look at the
Yeah.
I'm
that wanted-
tweeting
Look
Trump.
at the kid that.
That's
Look
funny
at the
you
kid
say
that
that.
wanted to mow the yard.
That's
And
funny
he
you say
said,
that.
"Here you go."
He just hired a ghost hunter for one of his cabinet members. Did you hear about that recently?
No.
What was
Holy
it mean?
shit. I know. I wish it was us. Yeah, no, I don't. Too close to the action. The next thing they have, never mind, I won't say because we'll get us in trouble.
Yeah. Jason wouldn't get along too well with him.
No, I'm talking about one extra too. I'll just be quiet because then. Let's see if I can find that guy's name. It's funny that it's a big to do.
I'm trying to imagine Trump going on an investigation with us.
It'd be. Wait, I was gonna say something.
Nobody ghost hunts better than I ghost hunt. I'm the best ghost hunter.
Guess who?
Jason, you made it.
Hey, Jason. Guys, he's the
Come
cat.
say hi
We're
to
just
everybody.
kidding.
Says law clerk by day, ghost hunter by night. Brett Talley is this guy's name. He used to be a ghost hunter. Jason, I'm busy. Back off. Oh, that is clawing me. Get off me. Get off me, Jason.
Just shoo him away. Go.
Yep, his name is Brett Talley. He used to be a ghost hunter, according to this.
Well, then maybe that's our in. I'm gonna tweet Trump tonight and be like, "Hey, man."
Craziness. But so overall, what do you guys think about this so-called Civil War? I'm kidding. Civil War.
So-called.
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
That's a conspiracy. It never happened.
Yeah, really.
Just joking.
Why would the government do that?
Because they can.
Well, I think it would be very, very interesting to go there.
So we definitely need to save some money up.
Most definitely.
I mean, that's where all the you figure that's the oldest part of America, you know, down
Yeah.
east and
Mhm.
south, and that's where Jason get off.
You gotta smack him around a
I'm
little
gonna
bit.
smack him. That's assault, brother. Well, let me go do.
Not on camera anyway.
I know, right? Like they have peated on our freaking
Oh
door. like,
goodness.
But to start, with, no animal was harmed in the making of this show. It's Jason. He's okay.
Oh, Jesus.
I told you. See. But no, it'd be fun to go on. I think not only ghost hunt, but also to just go take metal detectors and walk around fields.
History.
And, yeah, and get some artifacts and.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
We need to do it.
yeah.
It's 10 hours.
Oh.
10-hour drive.
We need to make some money.
Yeah, it's more than just 10 hours.
Right.
Get out.
10 hours there.
10 hours back.
10 hours back.
We're gonna have to sleep at some point.
I know.
This is turning into a 4-day trip.
I know. Yeah. But to spend a couple weeks out there, really.
Absolutely. I was going to say, a couple of days would not
Oh, God,
be,
yeah.
Enough. No.
Yep.
You'd have to spend almost a week out there.
because one day would be one place.
Yeah.
You go to
Oh,
the
yeah.
Gettysburg battlefield, and that's one day.
I know a lot of shows have gone there, like Ghost Hunter's been there, Ghost Adventure's been there, and they always go to one of the, I can't remember which building it is, but one of the houses where a bullet pierced the building and hit a woman, like one of the,
I think I've heard that
I
story.
can't remember which place it is, but she was killed, and they hear her and see her ghost walking up and down the stairs, and especially upstairs. But it was a place where they were hiding soldiers, basically, to keep them, when the Union, I think when the Confederate came through, they were hiding the Union soldiers there, and she was just trying to do good, and next thing you know, she got killed by a bullet that hit the building. But Ghost Hunters was there. I said Ghost Hunters was there. You can Google those and they'll pull up those episodes. I want to say Fact or Fake might have been there too, but I can't remember. Somebody else I know, but Ghost Lab was there too, obviously. But crazy stuff. Yeah, definitely interesting topic. We just talked about a couple of them. We didn't get a chance to go through. All the battles. There's ghosts everywhere down there because of this.
Spanning from Florida all the way up Georgia, all the way up the East Coast, all the way to over here. There's just countless stories that we could probably find.
We didn't touch upon, like you mentioned earlier, St. Augustine, the lighthouse, and the Spanish island out there too, off of Florida.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically kind of around the same things as Shiloh that you were talking about, with all the blood spilled, and they've actually. The sand is supposedly darker because of it, because they were all coming ashore and they were just being shot and killed right there. Hi, Jason.
I'm laughing because he's on camera.
Yeah. Hi, Jason. I'm
if you're not going to pay attention to me, I'm going to come up and take the show over.
This is what's crawling underneath the table, and
this is why we're getting attacked.
Why are you rubbing on my
It's a ghost cat.
That's not. What cat? You guys see a cat?
It's like
It looks like he's holding a meeting.
It's like this is off topic, but one of my trainings for one of the companies I work for, they had you watch a video, and you're supposed to figure out what's going on in the video. You're just paying attention. Like I don't see anything special, and then they go back and show it to you, and there's a gorilla walks in the crowd, and most people don't see it.
Don't catch it.
So it's like the same thing with this cat. We're doing
It's an experiment.
It's like, there's no cat here. We're just talking about Gettysburg over here, and people are like, there's a cat on your screen.
What cat?
We never saw it.
That was like last week when Milo jumped up on Jason's shoulder and was like,
giving the old massage. God, that was hilarious.
He's like, you guys want a massage? I got you.
Craziness.
10 minutes with Milo.
Just throw out some couple of things, some housekeeping things. We start winding down here a little bit. Don't forget, January the 13th is already sold out. Dodge Santa Fe Depot. But because it sold out so fast in a matter of days, they asked us to come back and do a second part. So we're going back July. I'm about to say July. Goddamn.
July.
January 27th, a couple weeks later, to do it again. So I believe there's a few tickets left, so if you want to go check that out, definitely you're going to miss out on a good time. You get the history behind it. We'll go and do an investigation afterwards, and you're bound to hear us. It's not guaranteed it because this place is very, very active, and it never lets us down. So call the Santa Fe Depot in Dodge City to register tickets.
Yeah, I heard too, definitely call if you're interested, because I heard too that there was a Girl Scout group that was thinking about taking the rest of the tickets that were available.
So make sure you beat the Girl Scouts, guys, and don't let them go.
For Rose's sake. But no, so that's going on. We got a show next week, hopefully. Coming up with the holidays, it's going to be kind of tougher, I think, but we'll let you know, hopefully, next once Rose is done coughing. I'm just kidding. We'll let you know well in advance if we're going to do a show or not, and what topic will be, and we'll get that promoted. And in case we decide not to, we'll let you know that also. We apologize for people at home trying to watch on Facebook. We'll get that hopefully back up and running next week. It's not so easy. Just turning the camera on. We have to do a couple different things, so we'll get that back up and running. And if there's any topic at home you want to hear us talk about, discuss, please let us know. Email us, write to us, comment anywhere you can see a place to comment. Let us know what you want to hear. We'll definitely talk about it. We're not afraid to talk about any topic.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about
Not you.
The sightings that people have seen with just different things, ghosts,
Kidding.
all kinds of different stuff. Like you were talking about that one with the backup camera.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. We should bring that.
We should do like our own little fact or faked thing.
I was going to do that. I'd like to do that, but then I started reading online how fake it was, the whole show. I'm like, of course, like any shows. I'm like,
we'll show people a piece
Prove
of
it.
our evidence and be like, do you think that this was,
right,
real or
I'm not going to run out in the field.
Yes, you will.
are.
Okay.
Remind you, this is a reenactment.
What we should do, I wish you guys would have filmed Roth when he was in the cemetery.
Oh
down
god.
in Oklahoma.
Well, that's
where he
just
just like flips backwards.
You know, and that's
that
I kick myself for not
chair.
going. I missed that too because I was doing. Remember, I was back acting camper with Brendan and Renee, and we saw the what we think is the Bigfoot Sasquatch.
It was really Roth falling backwards.
Probably. We heard the yelp.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have saw that. I would have loved it because I had the handheld camera on me at the time, so it'd been nice to catch
Well,
it.
and what was going through my, you're just sitting out there and all of a sudden your chair falls backwards.
No, just yours. Nobody else had to happen.
Yeah, I think it's weird that like you've been sitting there for a while and then it just happens because I mean you weren't like pushing it or moving.
Well, I remember sitting there for a little bit, and then when I went back and just kind of sat there for a second, it started, because you remember that ground is so soft out there.
It's like spongy.
It's like walking on air. It's what causes that out there? That's a whole nother story.
Dead bodies everywhere.
I mean,
it's
you'd walk around there in 2 to 3 inches, you just go down.
But you don't like sink. I mean, you just feel like you're sinking. It's weird. Callahan mentioned it on the episode. He was talking about the field.
No, even in the book you mentioned.
Yeah, and it doesn't. It's hard to explain because you walk from the outside in, it's all dirt, and same type of field right there outside the gate, and I feel like that. As soon as you step foot in there, you start to sink. It's just a weird.
It's weird.
It's very weird. I mean, I can't explain it.
The back right leg just went straight down. Yeah, so I just went at an angle right up, pitch dark in the middle of a cemetery.
How did everybody see it though? That's just it. How did everybody else see it? Because they were laughing.
They heard me.
Oh.
Yeah, they heard me.
God damn, I wish I'd have been there for that part.
Are you all right? I was like, I'm okay.
Yeah, I kicked myself for not being a part of that part because I wanted to.
Yeah, all of a sudden the initiation comes in or something, and they're like, "Hey, bro."
Well, had I known they were going to do that, I would have went to that.
Go
to sit there and
make you sit in a cemetery for 20 minutes, and
there's multiple people did it, right?
Yeah, I think there was 4 of us that did it.
Yeah.
I think DePaula go.
Oh, she was there too.
Yeah, Paula went.
Back to the hotel.
I went. Jason went.
Jason didn't go.
Yeah, Jason was
he went
with
back
us.
to the hotel. He told me.
That was after it was over. That was after it was over.
He was going back there
he
first
split
before
up.
he came.
Yeah.
We caught.
Yeah, because he was the last one to go.
You guys caught us. That's right. Or you guys came up when we were running.
Yeah,
around.
we came back to the property, and he
Yeah.
went on to the hotel. So.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that's our show for this week. We'll be back next week, hopefully, with an all new topic. Like I said, anything you want to hear, let us know. Write to us. We'll be back with another. Excuse me, I'm trying to catch my breath here. A WTF, what the F files, whatever. At some point, we never put the one from the house, did we?
No, because it is somewhere on my computer.
Okay, I thought you had it.
Somewhere.
We'll work on it. So. That's
one of the things Jeremiah set up, and I don't know exactly where it is. And he's like, "Oh, well, it should be there." Where?
Before we put it up, I may want to work with you on that. We may need to edit part of it, so just for safety concerns. So.
And back to you, Bob.
But yep. So, but anyways, want to say thank you to everybody watching tonight. People at home, people in the studio. Jason, thanks for joining us late. Glad you showed up. But
you're welcome, guys.
Whatever, dude. So, all right, guys, that's it for this evening. Thanks for joining us this evening. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
It's a wrap.